We've got to start with the 49ers Seahawks. The winner wins the NFC West. The 49ers have even more at stake, of course, because if they win it, they land the number 1 seed in the NFC and home field advantage. Earlier on in the season, it was a close-fought affair, separated solely by a field goal. The Seahawks winning that one. Different situation now, though, of course, because in that game, the 49ers were quite banged up. Their offensive line in particular, I don't think Kittle was playing in that game. Offensive line much stronger now. Kittle is back, and it's the Seahawks who got the injury issues. Absolutely depleted at running back, which means the return, and I bet you're delighted about this, and Marshawn Lynch.
I think we're all big fans of Beast Mode. He's back. So's Turbin as well. So they're putting the Turbin power. And essentially, I don't think Marshawn Lynch... I'm watching all of the highlights about how he just knocked defenders and secondaries to the floor. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen this time around, but for Seahawks fans, it does give them that kind of like, oh, isn't it great to have Lynch back? And maybe we can right the wrong of that Super Bowl against the Patriots when they decided to throw the football rather than run it. He's back. They can get excited, but I obviously want the Niners to win, but I think they've got a better chance with their pass rush and their defense to get the win for the first time since 2011.
That is key, isn't it? The impact that Marshawn Lynch is going to have on the field and how much he can expected to have on the field, given how long he's been out of the game. Now, he's apparently been keeping himself in shape, and it's yet to be seen. I guess because they don't have any other options, he's going to see the ball sometimes, and this is a terrific player that could surprise us. But it is unlikely, if not impossible, that he's going to change the game on his own. But at least he, as you say, galvanizes the Seahawks side that kind of needs it at the moment, really. They, unlike other teams that are peaking at the right time, like the Chiefs, for example, seem to be timing their run to perfection. The Seahawks aren't. So I wonder if there's that factor as well. In terms of the 49ers re-upping and just being a much stronger proposition this time around to back when they met earlier on in the season, how significant is that? How significant are the strengthening of the line again and the impact of Kittle, not just in terms of his productivity, but what he does as a blocker as well?
Yeah, well, obviously, the Seahawks have lost their left tackle as well.
Right.
Dwayne Brown. And so the likes of our pass rush, Armstead, who was a former first-round pick, we thought he was a bit of a bust. He's got 10 sacks this year. Bosa's got 9. I feel like
D Ford's an injury out for the game, though, right?
Yes, but there's also Buckner, who was the most sacks for the Niners last year. So our defensive line is looking good. If they fail, like they have done in a few games recently, then the secondary's banged up. So I think it's the perfect game. It's a real, I think it's looking on paper, apart from the Eagles and the Cowboys, what's going to happen for them. This is the big one to focus on this weekend, and that's why it's a late kickoff for us over here in the UK. Kittle is the difference, I think. He's Jimmy G's comfort blanket. He's the safety person to go to. And if we can get that running game going. However, I think the Seahawks do need something, as you say, with Marshawn Lynch to lift them. And again, they're going to have to rely on Russell Wilson. And as a Niners fan, as I'm sure a lot of teams have found this, Russell Wilson can be the difference maker and get that team across the line.
I wonder whether, as well, Tyler Lockett, such a key player for them, out for a while, came back last week and didn't really connect as they'd hope, but that's not particularly unusual given the fact he's been out for a while. Whether that he can lock in and they can get the passing game rolling a little bit more fluently than they have been as well. Whether Lynch gives him and Turbin, let's not forget Turbin, gives him enough to establish the play action, and Russell Wilson getting it done on his own. So much at stake here, Deacon. So much, and let's not forget as well, this is in Seattle, the 12th man. It is a tough place to go, and let's look at Garoppolo in that situation. This is the biggest game of his career.
I think, well, it has to be, because Niners fans already know that he's kept us in the game. The last one against the Rams, that outrageous throw to Sanders, we were 3rd and 16, I think. He just sat in the pocket, took a hit, but manages to... He sort of brings off these amazing throws sometimes where you're like, how is that possible? And yet will muck up a beautiful, easy 5-yard throw. So I think it is his biggest game, especially to silence the Seahawks crowd on their back. But again, the man to look for is that Luke Wilson. He's the coolest dude ever for the Seahawks, man. He's their tight end. He's just so like wavy. So I reckon he'll get a touchdown, and that will really annoy me because you can't dislike Luke Wilson. Out of all the Seahawks, you're like, he's the coolest dude ever, man.
He bounced. He was obviously there and then went to the Raiders, didn't he? And then kind of bounced. Yeah, he was in Hard Knocks. Yeah,
they love him. So everyone Seahawks there, when you're there, essentially, you think that they're booing, but they're just shouting, Luke.
Springsteen style. I'm with you. So Garoppolo, huge game for him and difficult place to take your offense, of course, just because of the noise and the impact there as well. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. And of course, the importance of home field advantage in the playoffs, not to be underestimated. But let's just say the worst happens and the 49ers drop down. They don't get the win and they drop down. There is this, and I'm talking about the Seahawks stalling a little bit, but there is this undoubted narrative going on in the NFC that it is ridiculous that one of these teams is going to be seated lower than whoever wins the NFC East. But one of these teams is. So difficult for the 49ers after everything they've achieved if they lose this game and drop down.
Yeah, I think it could be there's so many injuries that we've had, but I think that's the sign of a good team when you're still managing to get those wins. You're still managing to galvanize as a team and really lift yourself to get the win. It doesn't matter how it happens. We got a field goal win. Robbie Gould kicked it last week against the Rams, but I think that they'll have to just go back to square one and maybe it will just knock the stuffing. Let's go with the festive idea. It will knock the stuffing out of them, and then I think we'll flop for the rest of the season and we'll get knocked out of the playoffs. However, I just feel like if we can get that win as a Niners fan, I don't know how far we can go.
It's a really good point, actually, the impact of losing it going
and against such a fierce rival and them having bragging rights twice in 1 year.
Crawling as opposed to striding into the playoffs. So, are you going to get it done? Are the 49ers going to win?
I'm going all out for them. My money's definitely on them, and I think we can do it just for the fact that the Seahawks have loved to run the football this year with Carson. Yeah. Russell Wilson will be relied too much on him. I imagine it's going to be a close game, but I think the Niners will edge it for the first time.
I'm with you on that. I'm taking the Niners for the win.
Hope you enjoyed the Nat Coombs Show presented by Paddy Power Fantasy. There's plenty more where that came from. Just click subscribe to ESPN UK and you won't miss a trick.